I'm going to talk about the future of cancel culture. If someone makes a joke that someone else is offended by, let's say, for example, someone says, "Oh, Kevin Hart made some comment. If my son came home and he was gay, I'd be like, oh, hell no." So that was a comment that Kevin Hart made, and it was many years ago. So there's the counter argument is it's just a joke. It doesn't really hurt anybody. And then there's some people who say, well, even though it's a joke, jokes can hurt people. When you really review our culture and the media and movies and film and TV, we literally have movies and television that have extreme violence in them, where people kill and rape and pillage. It could be serial killers. TV shows like CSI, every episode is about murdering someone, and it's often a man murdering a woman. I don't watch these shows, but why is it that people are not offended by that? I think it's absolutely horrific. I would never watch those shows. I'm not interested in those shows. And when I was younger, there was talk where people, would say that bad musical lyrics, violence on TV. Even Trump made a statement like he was talking about a mass shooting, and he said the glorification of violence, such as in video games, and everybody misquoted him, claiming that he was saying that video games cause violence. So, how can you justify taking down a comedian for making fun of a gay person when there's literally movies and TV shows about extreme violence against gay people? Why is it that the joke is bad and the drama is okay and acceptable? I honestly believe that the cancel culture in some point in the future is going to go after these dramas, TV shows like CSI Miami, and movies. I think it makes sense that that would be an additional target in the future, maybe long time in the future. Probably once they've won the war against comedians, they'll start going after the drama. But once that happens, they're basically supporting the conservative point of view to get violence off the air. I'm going to use the example in Thailand. There was a man who made a joke about the king and he went to prison. In Thailand, when they got cable TV, uh, they said crime increased, and they were horrified by some of the television shows, like the TV show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Or was it? No, there was another show where they comment about how in American game shows sometimes the host might insult the contestant as a joke, and they were saying no. In Thailand, everyone's polite on the game shows. The host would never. There was a show. It wasn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was about a British woman where she was insulting all the contestants. It was like a trivia thing, and they had to vote someone out every round. I don't remember what it was called, but that I think is a show he was referring to, and their version had to be a polite version. So I predict the cancel culture is eventually going to go after drama and television shows, and maybe it'll even go after the TV news, because there's a lot of violence reported in the TV news. I'm sure you know that in old Disney movies, if someone jumps off a cliff, you never see them hit the ground. You see them disappear behind a rock. And that's the way it is in Bollywood, at least in the older Bollywood movies. But in a modern movie, they show you more. There was implied violence, and then they added violence. I have the feeling it's going to go away. Okay, so I'm also going to talk about swearing words like ass. In the 80s, you couldn't say ass on TV or bitch or any of those words. Anything that was even remotely considered a swear word, you would not hear on television until the Fox network came along. When Fox came along, there was a show called A Current Affair, and they were vulgar, and they started the fake news where they would say, here's a story about a woman who prostitutes herself because she needs money for bread. They would just have these crazy stories that weren't newsworthy stories, but they were like investigative stories about an aspect of society. It was called A Current Affair. It was very popular. It started the junk news television program. It was the Fox network. When David Letterman first said ass on TV, it was around that time that Fox came along. And also, Al Bundy. Before that, it was Bill Cosby, the Cosby Family. Everyone was polite. And then you've got the Bundys, Married with Children, where they all hate each other. Well, they all make fun of each other unless the family's under attack. They only unify when the family's under attack. So it was then that society changed. Fox actually made television a lot more vulgar. And you can look at Australian culture. There's a word that they use to describe Australian culture. I believe it begins with the letter B. I don't remember what the word is, but it's somewhat similar to vulgar. Australians have a reputation for yelling and screaming and using language in a way that you wouldn't really get away with here. Okay, post your comments below.